Hello and welcome to the Global Dialogue. I'm Shereen Bhan. EdTech company Coursera has built a strategic relationship with India both as a market and as a talent base. Under its new CEO, Hart, Coursera is working towards making India its largest market by localizing content, stitching together partnerships with academic institutions, enterprises and the government. But it faces the prospects of intense competition, with OpenAI pushing into online learning and upskilling. Joining me now to talk about Coursera's global plans and its strategy for India is its global CEO, Hart. Greg, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. It's great to have you with us. Almost a year since you took over. Greg, let me start by asking you how Coursera and your journey at Coursera so far has been.
The journey has been fantastic so far. Obviously, the mission for Coursera has never been more relevant for the world in terms of providing people the skills that they need to transform their lives, particularly in this time of incredibly rapid change with Gen AI transforming how all aspects of work are done. So it's been a fantastic start, and we're really looking forward to what we're unveiling at Coursera Connect, our annual conference that I'm at right now. We have a slew of different AI-powered features that we're rolling out and announcing this week, and so happy to share more about those with you.
I'm glad that you talked about what you're rolling out at Coursera Connect. Let's focus on AI, Greg, because that was going to be one of my questions to you. You've preempted that. Are you going to be building more proprietary AI tools? Because that's what the future seems to suggest at this point in time. Take me through what the plan is on AI for you specifically.
Absolutely. So in the same way that everybody is reading about AI, we have been using AI really since its very earliest days. So very shortly after ChatGPT launched in November of 2022, we rolled out a number of AI-driven features, Coursera Coach, Coursera Course Builder, and a slew of others, and we continue to improve on those. And so a few of the things that we are announcing at Coursera Connect this week: Skill Tracks, which is a data-backed learning solution that really maps the relationships between jobs, skills, and learning content so that we can ensure that learners can master the right skills that they need for the role that they are in or that they want to have. Role Play, which builds off of Coursera Coach, which is our AI-driven tutor, and it helps learners build job-ready skills and practice those soft skills through interactions with AI personas. Course Builder, which is another AI-driven feature that's been live since 2023, and we're now making that available to all of our university and industry partners to help them build and scale content fast. An interesting point on Course Builder, which has been available for our enterprise customers since 2023, we have roughly 4,000 courses that our enterprise customers have built since then for their workforces. Nearly half of those, 1,900, have been built by our enterprise customers in India. So it's been a phenomenal tale of success for Coursera and particularly for companies in India. We're also announcing a bunch of new partnerships with world-class universities, University of Cambridge in the UK being an example, as well as industry leaders. And so it's a very exciting conference.
Well, plenty there as far as what you intend to launch on the AI front, and of course your partnerships with other universities. But I want to specifically talk to you about what we're seeing happen as far as OpenAI is concerned, doubling down now on education in the edtech space. How do you intend to take on OpenAI? What is going to be the strategy to be able to differentiate yourself as OpenAI makes its big push into this space, into this market, specifically in a market like India?
Well, I don't view OpenAI so much as competition, so much as a huge tailwind for everything within AI. We see an incredible amount of interest in AI on Coursera. So far this year, we're seeing an average of 13 enrollments in Gen AI content per minute this year in 2025. And in part, that's been driven by the fact that we now have more than 1,000 courses on Gen AI available on Coursera. And those come from world-class universities. And so one of the things that I think really differentiates Coursera's offering versus others in the online education space is those deep partnerships that we have with universities. We obviously grew out of academia with our co-founders, Andrew Ng and Daphne Kohler, being professors at Stanford. And since then, we've expanded, obviously, to a range of partnerships, both in industry and in university. And so I think that's one of the things that differentiates us. Another of the factors that I think is a core offering that we have is all of those AI-driven features that we've invested in that build on that rich course catalog coming from both academia and from industry and make that incredibly interactive. And so there's the opportunity to gain skills that are needed for real roles in the world, all supported by Coursera's catalog.
Well, let's talk about India then specifically, Greg, because the aspiration is to make India your largest market. It is the second after the US. And as I pointed out, there's been a deep, long strategic partnership that you have with India, both as a market as well as a talent base. Let's talk about what you intend to do now when it comes to localization or further localization, pricing more importantly, as you build out your ambition for India.
Absolutely. So, India is in the midst of this transformation to a skills-first economy. And to make that transformation successful, that is really going to require deep partnership across government, across academia, and industry. And all three of those different groups are partnering very closely with Coursera to make sure that they're able to drive impact at scale. And so, as you mentioned, India is our second largest market by learners. We have 31 million learners on Coursera. That's increased at a rate of about 20% year over year. We also have 270 plus enterprise customers, Reliance being one of our marquee customers in India. And then we have examples of states in India, Kerala, Odisha, both partnering with Coursera to do job training and student training for people in their states. There's a forecast that AI can add up to 1.5 trillion to the Indian economy, so 36% of last year's GDP in India by 2030, coming from Ernst & Young. But right now, India is still relatively low in terms of its sophistication and its rank on Coursera's AI maturity index. And so there's a huge opportunity to leverage Coursera that we are very focused on to help expand access to amazing education, particularly AI-focused education across India. We're doing that through both AI translations and AI dubbing. And so we have, classes and courses that have been translated into 26 different languages, including Hindi. We're also adding this year Odia in support of that Odisha partnership that I mentioned. And so we'll continue to expand the number of languages that we offer to ensure that we give access to everyone.
Well, speaking of access, what about pricing, Greg? Because that's been the big concern when we talk about the India market. You've had a standard pricing model so far, and many would argue that that has perhaps been a constraint as far as growth in India is concerned. I know you're trying to address that differently. What about pricing?
Fantastic question. So I'm very happy to share that we recently announced much more regionally aligned pricing that makes much more sense for consumers in India. So learning is now 60% more affordable, and that starts at 1699 rupees per month, so the equivalent of roughly 20 US dollars. We also launched a new course preview model that gives full access to the first module of most courses, and that includes graded assignments, video content, AI-powered features like Coach. And so that makes an entire complete learning experience available for that first module for most courses on Coursera to learners around the world, including those in India. And so there's now a much larger opportunity for learners to really explore that content before they make the decision to pay.
Well, yes, we've seen that regional pricing kicking in, and perhaps that could advance the target that you have to make India your largest market. But one is the market aspect, and India is important for you. But the other reason India is important for you is its talent base, and you're doubling down on your investments here in India from an R&D perspective. Walk us through that, Greg.
Absolutely. One of the reasons that we've invested in India, and we've seen that the India Development Center that we have in India continue to expand, is because, number one, there's fantastic talent. And so we think that's an amazing opportunity for us to tap into world-class talent in India. Also, we see that there is a huge, sort of cultural alignment with the mission of Coursera. There's a huge focus in India, coming from the government with the National Skills Qualification Framework and other initiatives to ensure that India upskills its population. We believe that Coursera's mission and Coursera's Development Center in India are a fantastic way to help support that initiative coming from the government.
Also partnerships, Greg, you talked about 270 enterprise customers. I know you mentioned Reliance, but you've got others like L&T, et cetera, that you're partnering with as well. What's the plan there on further deepening your enterprise side? also the focus perhaps on India's large MSME segment, because, the need for upskilling is quite significant there, especially when we talk about an AI and a tech world, and more academic partnerships as well with more academic institutions?
Absolutely. Coursera for Campus is the focus of our academic partnership. And so one of the things that we do there is, in addition to enabling universities to create content that they can make available on Coursera, we also partner with universities in India and around the world to enable them to leverage the rich catalog on Coursera to provide for-credit classes from Coursera to their students. And obviously within India, up to 40% of credits can be taken online. That's a huge opportunity for universities and academic institutions in India to leverage the world-class content that we have. So we intend to continue to grow that, both in terms of deepening our partnerships with academic institutions in India and broadening of the range of academic institutions that we partner with. And then, of course, on the workforce side, one of the things that I mentioned earlier, Skill Tracks, is directly relevant for companies both in India and around the world. We're launching 4 different skill tracks: software and product, IT, data, and Gen AI. And those are really meant to help provide very targeted skill tracks that help employees in those workforces upskill for the skills that they particularly need in the job areas that they're in. So they're very targeted offerings that we have that can really help companies upskill and reskill their workforces for what's needed today.
You talked about tweaking the pricing here in India, but I also want to understand from you, Greg, monetization in general, not just specific to India, but let's start with India. How much of a challenge is that? While you're growing revenue, the bottom line continues to be a cause for concern at this point in time. So how do you address the monetization aspect in India and other markets as well?
Well, actually, we were adjusted EBITDA and free cash flow positive in 2024. We have no debt. We have $775 million of cash on our balance sheet. So the company is in an incredibly strong financial position. As you mentioned, we increased our growth rate in Q2 to 10% year over year. That was equally balanced on both the consumer and the enterprise side of our business. And so I'm actually very bullish about the future of Coursera. On our Q2 call, we also raised our expectations for full year revenue. And we increased our adjusted EBITDA margin target by 100 basis points from 7% to 8%. So the company is on extremely solid financial footing and is moving in the right direction, which is, I'm very happy to report on that.
Well, speaking about the right direction and the new direction, Greg, let's talk about some of the things that you've turned and changed since you've taken over and what you now intend to prioritize. More proprietary content, for instance. You talked about deepening down and doubling down on partnerships. Run me through what you intend to prioritize now as you set the new direction for Coursera.
Fantastic question. So yeah, I'm about 7 months or so into my role. One of the things that when I came in that I really wanted to make sure that we did was focus very, very much on our customers. So both individual learners and our enterprise customers, to make sure that we were building the right things and increasing the pace of product innovation. Some of the things that I mentioned earlier, skill tracks, role play, our expansion of Course Builder are great examples of increasing the pace of product innovation. And that will be a continuing theme for us. One of the other big themes is making sure that Coursera is incredibly focused on the skills that learners need in the world today. So both individual consumers looking for skills to help grow their careers, as well as enterprise who are looking to upskill or reskill their workforce for the particular skills that are needed in a rapidly changing environment. And so Skill Tracks is a great example of how we're using product innovation to change Coursera from a catalog of courses to a real compass that helps people gain the right skills for what they need in today's incredibly fast and rapidly changing environment.